Hey, this is Troy from Playtime Engineering, and in this video we're going to talk about using the MIDI port on your Blipblox. So, as you know, every Blipblox does have a MIDI port, and I know many of you probably have no idea what that is, and in this video I'm going to try and explain and show you the simplest way you can get up and running using MIDI on the Blipblox. So what does MIDI do? On the Blipblox, as you know, there's built-in melodies, but with the MIDI port, you can actually bring in your own melodies. You can play it with an external keyboard, or you can use it with a computer. And that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you sort of the simplest way to get the Blipblox connected to your computer and the music software and get you up and running and just sort of have some fun playing with MIDI. The whole idea with the Blipblox was to really get kids into music production, and having the MIDI port on it is really a way that kids can take the Blipblox and move from a toy to a real studio production tool. So let's get started. What are the things you're going to need? You're going to need two main things to get MIDI going on your Blipblox. Number one, you're going to need a USB to MIDI interface. There's a lot of them out there, and we recommend one. This is the LVD USB to MIDI interface. We're going to put links to this in the comments. But this is available on Amazon Prime. It's around $22. And this is a MIDI interface that we've really tested well. There are some cheaper ones out there, but this one we've really tested with a lot of different software, a lot of different computers, and it really is solid. There are some cheaper MIDI interfaces out there that have some problems with their chip and their protocol. So we really recommend you stick with this one that we recommend. If you already have a MIDI to USB interface, it will probably work fine. But if you're buying a new one, we recommend this LVD that we're going to have in the comments. So the first thing you want to do is get that cable plugged into your computer's USB interface, and take the other cable, the MIDI side here. You'll see it says, one says MIDI out, and one says MIDI in on these cables. So this might be a little confusing, but when it says MIDI out on the cable, that's the MIDI out coming from your computer. So you actually want that to go into the MIDI in of the Blipblox. So that's the MIDI standard. It's all in to out. So, MIDI out from the computer goes to MIDI into your Blipblox. So once you've got that all connected, the next step is to get the software on your computer. So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out the best software to do this demo with. And there's a lot of contenders out there. One is GarageBand. That's something we looked at. But unfortunately, GarageBand does not allow you to send MIDI out to an external synthesizer. So GarageBand is not suited for playing with your Blipblox with MIDI. And it's also for Macintosh only. Another option we looked at was a completely free, very powerful piece of software called Studio One from ProSonus. That works good, but it's very complicated. And I started to make a demo using that, and it's just, even I was confused with doing some very simple things. So we decided not to do that. So that brings us to Ableton Live. Ableton Live has a lot of good things going for it. It is one of the most popular pieces of music production software out there. I don't know exactly, but I'm guessing around 70% of electronic musicians use Ableton Live. It's very powerful, and the best thing is that it's very intuitive and very easy to do simple things, and that's what I really like about it. Everything on Ableton Live just works. It's very intuitive. The only downside is that Ableton Live does cost $99 for the most inexpensive version, but the good news is that you can download a free version of Ableton Live and basically start playing with it and start using it, and the only thing you can't do is you can't save your songs after you've made it. So my recommendation is to go ahead, download the free Ableton Live, start playing with it, and just have fun with it. And if it turns out you start really getting good with it and you want to be able to save songs, then you go ahead and spring for the full $99 version. So let's get started. Once you've got your Ableton Live, it's called Ableton Live Intro installed. Go ahead and get that all installed. We'll have some links there to show you where to download it. And you have your Blipblox plugged in, as we talked about. And You launch Ableton Live, and you come up into a screen like this. So we can go through some of the basics of Ableton Live to get you started to really make sure you're all well connected. So the first thing you want to do is go here to the Live's preferences. There's just a few things you want to set here. Here on this audio tab, here we have the audio output device. So this is where the sound that comes from Ableton is going to go. This should be a default set to whatever your computer is, but if you have a sound card, you can find your sound card here. There's other software bridges here. So I'm just going to set this to my basic computer's output and keep it simple. And then the next thing you want to do is you need to make sure your USB MIDI interface is activated. So this Lividi MIDI interface should show up as just USB MIDI. So here you see I have a few other MIDI ports, but we want this USB MIDI, and we just want to make sure this track is turned on. So once we have our audio set, our USB MIDI set on, then we should be good to go. So we should be doing good here. So one of the first things before we even get started getting the MIDI to the Blipblox, I like to get just a good drum beat going. And this is what I love about Ableton Live. It's so simple. So let's just go here. You should have this collections over here that came with your install, and we're gonna find some of these drum beats. So you have like funky, chopped. So let's go ahead and pull out funky here. And over here you'll see we have 4 tracks. 2 of them are called MIDI and 2 of them are called audio. So it's pretty straightforward. The audio is the actual clips of sound that go into making music. It's the actual audio. The MIDI is sort of like, this is basically the piano roll. This is just the note information that we're going to be sending to the Blipblox. So we're going to start by taking this little clip of sound, this funky breakbeat, and we're going to drag it here onto this audio, and we're just going to press play. So you should be hearing that now out of your computer speakers, and that's just going to play indefinitely, and it's just a nice beat we can play with here to do other things over. One thing over here, we have a tempo. This is pretty handy, so you can just click on that. You can speed it up, or we can slow it down. So let's just go ahead and find a nice mellow tempo for us to work with. And then we'll hit stop to stop that breakbeat. So now let's actually get the Blipblox working through MIDI. So first thing you can do is you can turn on your Blipblox. And we want to turn off the internal sequencer. So we do that by holding down the filter mod key and then pressing the sequencer select button. So now the Blipblox, it's still on, the drums still work. But basically the main thing right now is the Blipblox is staying in a mode, not playing its own notes. It's waiting for notes to come in over MIDI. So let's see if we can do that. One of the things, we want to keep this very inexpensive. So if you don't have a MIDI or USB music keyboard, you can actually just use your keyboard on your computer. And we're going to do that over here. There's this little icon in the upper right corner. It has a picture of a little tiny piano. So we're going to go ahead and click that. It should turn yellow. So now our computer keyboard we can use that to play musical notes. So just a few more things to do here. We're going to go over to this MIDI track, and we're going to have to enable this so it can send from the keyboard into the Blipblox. So MIDI from, here we're going to say we want it to come from the computer keyboard. If you had a USB music keyboard or some other MIDI keyboard, you could find it here. But in our case, we're just going to use the computer keyboard. This monitor, this basically tells you if what the signals coming into this track is going to go out to the device. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and click in. So that means that the signals from the keyboard will be passed on to the Blipblox. Then finally, we have to do a MIDI out, and we're going to do this to the USB MIDI. So as we talked about before, the USB MIDI is your Lividi USB to MIDI interface. So we'll click that on. We are on channel 1. and let's see if it works. So the keyboard is basically, it starts with the letter A. And here we can see the Blipblox, hear the Blipblox being played by the keyboard. So if you've reached this step, congratulations, you're over the hump, you've got it all working, and this is sort of the hardest thing to do. So we've got the keyboard playing the Blipblox over MIDI, over USB. So this is all a great sign. A few tricks here on the keyboard. So basically you have the middle row is all basically the white keys, and then your upper keyboard, the upper keys will be the black keys basically. So you can kind of hear how this works. So here we can see that here's the two black keys. So we're starting here with basically a C, D, E, F, G. Another good trick here is you can use the Z and the X keys to change the octave. So we can use the Z key to go down an octave. Down. Just keep going down. Or you can use the X key to bring it back up again. So this is fun. I mean, you can just kind of do this for a while. I mean, this is fun. This is something that, if you haven't used MIDI, you're used to the Blipblox just playing its own melodies, but now you finally have control over playing your own music into the Blipblox. So this alone starts to get pretty fun. But we have all this powerful music software here. Let's go ahead and take a look to see what are some of the things we can do now. We can actually start producing music just like a real music producer now that we have this set. So what we're going to do, we're going to change our monitor to auto. So this way, and the signals are only going to go through if you're in the recording mode. So down here, we're going to arm this track to record. And we have our breakbeat all ready to go here. It's already playing. So we're going to click up here. This is a clip, and we're just going to hit this button. We hear the drum loop playing, and now we can start playing some tunes. I don't know, just playing along. So you can hit the space bar, you can stop it. So now let's go ahead and we can double click on the clip we just recorded. And here we see these are all the notes on the piano roll that we just played in. And this is kind of cool, right? So this is your music. And now what we can do is we can take this little bar here and we can slide it in, and we're going to make a loop out of this. A loop typically would be 1 bar or 2 bars or 4 bars or 8 bars. So we'll go ahead and we'll make ourselves a 2-bar loop here, and let's just go ahead and play it. That's kind of fun. We can go in here and we can, if we don't like, one of the things we can do is we can quantize all this. Quantize is sort of cheating. It's takes all your slight variations in timing and tightens them up so they're right on the right basically timing basically. So we'll go edit here. We'll just hit quantize. We'll kind of see all of our things moved around a little bit there. We can edit this if we want. We can select it all. We can drag our notes around. So this is really where you're getting into the basics of music production. And we're not going to go into all these details, but I just wanted to show you this is how all modern electronic music is made, and you're sort of on your way to doing that. One other fun trick I'm going to show you here, we're going to turn off recording here, and we're going to go over to the second MIDI channel. You also have control of the Blipblox's drums over MIDI. So the synthesizer here is on channel 1, and we're going to go move to channel 2, and now we should, we got to turn the monitor on here. So now we have control over the kick and the snare of the Blipblox. So we'll do the monitor to auto, we'll enable the recording, and we'll hit recording. Stop that recording. Then we'll go ahead, and we didn't have to double click on this. It already came up for us. So again, we'll just make a little loop out of these drums that we were playing with. We'll go ahead and select them all. We'll quantize them, get them all locked into some good timing here. Edit, quantize, and then we'll make a nice 2-bar loop here. We can turn down our here. We can turn off the synthesizer track if we want to, and just hear the drums. Oh, we didn't get any kick drum in there. Let's try it again. We're going to click on that. We're going to do Control X to erase it. We're still recording. Let's try this again. Oh, we'll turn the breakbeat up here so you have a reference. Take that, we'll quantize it up. And we'll loop it. We'll turn our synthesizer track back on. And crank up the speed a little bit, why not? You know, we can go through here. We can in Ableton we can find some different drum beats. Maybe, I don't know, why not? Let's try. So that's it. I mean, you can get MIDI going here. Like I said, it doesn't cost much money. The only real investment you have to make is in that LiVidi USB to MIDI interface. You can get Ableton Live intro for free. So again, check all the comments here so you can find all the links to all this. And I really encourage you to play with this. Electronic music is fun. If you've already bought a Blipblox, you've got this powerful synthesizer sitting in your house, and why not put it to good use? Why not, why not get your kids started on music production? That's really the whole idea. So again, if you have any questions, just let us know in the comments. We'll do our best to help you debug anything or get things working. And we're happy to help. We're happy to get this all working for you. Thanks a lot.